Make sure I'm on the right microphone. Yep. All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining again. We are here with Lessons with Ricardo, where are going to go over another particular skill set to have if you're managing or an admin over Windows systems. So, last week, as a recap, we did a little bit with the PowerShell scripting. We actually rounded out some of the stuff we had done before, and we walked through the entire blog posting I had up for our lesson. So it was kind of cool. I know I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it as well. And today we're going to take it a little step further. We're going to start getting into the active management of a user's desktop. Now, before we go any further, as always, I just want to make sure you're aware what I'm doing is on a local system. We have not gotten to the point where we set up a domain server yet. So we're not actually replicating exactly what you'll go through as a domain admin or admin within an organization. But we're going to get there, right? Right now, what I'm doing is just making sure that you all are aware what can be done on a Windows desktop, and how you get it done. And like I said, going forward, since we've touched on PowerShell, I want to make sure we stick with that in our themes, and we make sure we continue to use a a CLI command line interface to get things done. Because at the end of the day, as an admin, it's super important that you're comfortable with the operating system at the most basic level, because sometimes the GUI just craps out. In fact, I remember growing up, I had, I want to say it's Windows Me, Millennial, and there was this, I don't know what it was. I was 12 years old. I was probably downloading all kind of crap on my computer, and I probably shouldn't have been doing so. But it got to the point where I started having the Explorer. So if you're not aware, the Explorer in Windows is the entire desktop, the graphical interface, like this backdrop you see behind my face here. Um, that's what the Explorer is to Windows, right? And it's X Windows and Linux, but it just crapped out on me. Like everything went blank. It was just blue. I mean, I had nothing, no taskbar, nothing. And the only way I got it back is I was just trying stuff out, and I ended up realizing the shortcut for Task Manager, and ended up running Explorer just to kick that back up. And of course, that wasn't in the command line itself. But the whole point of it is that sometimes the GUI just doesn't operate, right? For whatever reason, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It won't operate. So I want you to be comfortable saying, hey, if it's not operating, I could throw up that task manager. I could open up, I could do a run command and open up a command shell, and then start throwing those commands in their, command line interface. So that's what I'm shooting for. That's what I want to make sure we learn throughout all of these sessions, that we get to that point that we're comfortable with that. All right, so that's enough rambling from my end of it. I'll be real with you. Last time we spoke, I told you I was going to try to keep up to date on the news. I know we looked at the Conti leaks in the last session, and the website, and how to open up a virtual machine to check it. In fact, I realized what my problem was. If you had watched the video, if you were there, the problem I was having when I was trying to kick off my VPN, and just to be clear, I advise everyone to use a VPN whenever you're using a sandbox or a virtual machine to explore unknown software, unknown websites, or downloads. Just pop into your VM, throw your VPN on, and then do the searching, right? Because that protects your IP address for your home. It also protects your local machine from whatever may manifest itself from the clicking or the opening of whatever you're looking at, right? Got to be safe, because I don't know about you. I only have one computer I use on a regular basis for my personal stuff. I do have a second one. It's just, that's a whole nother story. I don't like it. But yeah, so that being said, uh, the VPN had an issue because I forgot to start it. Yeah, I did. I actually went through all that and forgot to start the VPN. So I was sitting there trying to connect the VPN without even running as a service on my Linux box. I know it's horrible. It's horrible. All right, so it looks like we got a couple people on here. Um, so if you could give me a shout out, throw it in the chat. Say hi. Megan, I hope you're there. So in my day job where I'm transitioning from one department to another, Megan's with me in my everyday work. And yeah, I'm a horrible person. I did not send her an invite. Well, I'm sorry, I retracted the invite for lunch. And please, please don't beat me up too bad for that. Um, but yeah, so I feel kind of bad, but I appreciate Megan sticking around for this. And for all you all do not know, me and Megan actually live in two different states. So I didn't think she was going to be able to make it. But you're right. I should have left you on. I should have left you on. I'm sorry. I admit my problems. I admit my shortcomings. So Megan, I was wrong. Please forgive me. Thank you for the cat face. It makes me happy. Mary, glad to have you back. I'm excited about today. So, hopefully you got your laptops out. You're gonna walk with me through this process, and that's pretty much it. So once again, we're gonna touch on. We already did a recap from last time. I did not have an updated story for you in the cybersecurity space. My bad. Really busy week transitioning to a new department at work. Um, but I'm gonna get there next time. I promise you next week. Also, I'll have the blog up as normal. uh, I only posted one blog in the last 2 weeks because the last two sessions were the same session. So same material and the exact same information, right? So I just had one blog for the last 2 weeks. But I'll have this up. And then what else? I think that's pretty much it. So we did the PowerShell, and I updated you on the VPN issue I had, where I couldn't get the VPN. And yes, I broke my own rule. I accessed the site anyway. I was in the virtual machine, but I accessed it without my VPN on. So it is what it is. We'll figure out something. Actually, I told my wife I would do a network scan at my house and just start. I'll probably do some Ether Ape as well as some wire sharking just to see what traffic is flowing out in the graphical interface um, as well as on as well as like the normal wire shark. So if you're not aware, Ether Ape is like a I forgot what the kind of chart. It's like a bubble chart, right? I can't remember what it is. What's going on, Mitchell? How are you doing? I'm glad you're here. So it's the type of bubbles that get bigger with traffic. I can't remember what it's called, but that's what EtherApe does, right? It looks at your traffic on your home network and it shows you where your traffic is going out to. I think it's really cool. So I'm gonna use EtherApe and Wireshark as well, just to dig a little deeper into the packets. And I might be able to explore EtherApe a little bit. But anyway, so uh, that's what I've been a little busy trying to get ready for as well this weekend. All right, so that being said, today we're going to look at just securing your desktop. We only have one example to go through, but we're going to go through the example. Well, actually, I'm going to do two examples, but we're going to go through the example from a graphical user interface, so GUI, GUI, and then we're going to also do it through the command line interface, CLI, right? Um, Oh yeah, I appreciate Megan. Probably is a spam bot. It's all right. Hey, look, more than welcome. More welcome. I throw me some more bots in there. It keeps it interesting. I appreciate them throwing some stuff to keep the chat going. And Megan, I hope you're not lonely with Mary this week. So make sure you do some chat. Got to throw some questions up in there, okay? All right. So that being said, let's go and break into our Windows machine. And by breaking, I mean just pull it up. We're not doing anything rough today. Okay. All right. So the policy we're going to do today is actually the one I described as saving my life. But of course, this is something, well, saving my desktop with my Windows Me is the Task Manager, right? Now, the reason why I chose to do Task Manager is because it's one of those um, utilities in Windows. It's kind of controversial where you ask yourself, do you really do it or not? Do you take it away from the user or do you leave it on there and limit what you can do? So when it comes to Windows, you have a couple options to protect your system. The security policies that we're going to look at today, you got a couple options on them, okay? So if it comes to protecting your system, you can do it from a path level, which will include any applications. So it gets into the app locker space where you can actually say, hey, who can and cannot use this particular application, what groups can and cannot use this particular application. Then you can also get into um, the more higher level where like the application, where, what am I going to say? uh, Functionality itself in the system can be locked down, right? And I look at a utility as like functionality with the system. So task manager is part of every system. It's not a special application you have to install from a third-party vendor or from even Microsoft Store. It's built into every Windows box, right? That utility. So you guys should protect your machines at that level as well. Something that's a part of every machine. So to do that, first of all, let's get used to what our policies look like. And there is going to be no lesson in this because we're going to get into SIDs, okay? I think that stands for security identifiers for each user, but I'll show you what that looks like. In fact, let me do this real quick because I think I'm already logged in and I want to do this fresh. Let me go ahead and do a restart on my machine. All right, so it's going to restart the machine where no one's logged in. And I'll show you something as well when it comes to that. So what we're going to do is access the local policy manager and then also the group policy. So I'll show you that once this restarts, what that's going to look like. Don't click on his links. Yeah, please don't click on anyone's links in this chat except for me. Trust me, okay? You can trust me, but don't click on anyone else's links. So thank you very much, Megan, for that. All right. I love the fact y'all work together. You see, it makes me happy when you all are working together to help each other out, and you help me out as well. So um, that's interesting. I love to see that happen. So anybody running Windows 10 or is everyone on Windows 11? Give me a one in the chat if you're on Windows 11. Give me a one in the chat if you're on Windows 11. I want to know. I know Mary, you're already on Windows 11. I think you told me already that you're on Windows 11. I think you already told me you're on Windows 11, right? So what about you, Megan? What are you running? Windows? If you ain't running Windows 11, you ain't gonna put the one in the chat. Tell me what you are running. I want to know. I want to see if we got some bandits out there that just want to put out the Windows XP. There you go, Mary. I knew it. I knew it. I remember. You got your Windows 11. I want to know what Megan's working with over there. Megan and her trouble laptop. Every time we do something, Megan. Windows. Megan had to be Windows 10. Good night, son. Have a good night. All right, Megan. Megan with the Windows 10. Ah, let me put this down a little bit. Okay, cool. I feel like I'm so big on the preview. It's taking up all the screen. I don't like that. I like to come down a little bit so you can see what's going on. All right, so one thing you'll notice, if you look on my screen right now, is I have three users now. If you've been following me, I only had two before, and I started with one, obviously. But I actually turned on administrator when I was testing some of this stuff out to see if I can get the SID, I'm going to tell you about in a moment, to pop up properly. So I found out a lot going through this. And in fact, I'm going to show you real quick. First, first I'm gonna show you the policy. So let's go and jump into what we started for. Okay, man, you gotta keep me on track. You know what I'm saying? I started thinking about stuff, and I'm like, oh, I want to do this. I want to show you that. But we're gonna stay on track today. We're gonna stay on track. Now, local policies. Let me see if I can pull it up this way. Yeah, local security policy, right? So this is one interface into your policies on your computer, which I think are really cool. So these are like predefined policies that you can turn on and off on your machine. But I think you get a little more, you can actually some granularity to them as well. You can add some additional stuff like with App Locker. So actually, I like the local security policies a lot. They have a lot of preset. I'll show you in a moment. The other one is the group policy, right? So you got two different policies that you can manipulate on these machines. Now, some of these work better than others, depending on the version of Windows you're running. For instance, the App Locker, which I think is under software. Um, where did I put the app? Where's the app locker at? Yeah, I think this is it, right? Yeah, app locker. Here it's under application. Okay. So app locker, I'm not sure if it's on every machine and it just doesn't work properly unless you have a certain version or if you're on a domain or something like that. But I tried some test run on it. I had problems getting the policy to stick, and that's something I have to continue to look into. But I just thought it was really cool. So the app locker, from what I read about and what I tried to work on, it actually allows you to lock down individual, like say Notepad. I wanted only Megan, if she was on my machine, to you be able to use Notepad and no one else, right? I would do like app locker for for a group where everyone else sits, but Megan's in a special group and she gets access it, but other people don't, right? So that's what I would do with App Locker. Besides that, you have a couple other local policies I think are really cool. And actually, I set one on here where, and I'm gonna stay on the local security first, okay? We're gonna come back over here to a local group policy because local group policy is where we're going to do the task manager. But let's stay on a local security policy. All right, so first of all, what I do, honestly, I go through and I just click on these, and each of them just kind of breaks down and let you know. I think we talked about this the very first day, the password policy, account lockout policy. These are pretty much static. And if I go to click on it in an open space here, you have no options to add, right? This is fixed. Actions, all you can do is export these lists. You can't create anything new. So if you're looking to change, you can change stuff, right? Even if I click into password policy, I can't create anything, but I can modify these. So this will apply to everyone. So if I go to 40 day, and in fact, I can, one thing I like about the local security policy versus the group policy, if I open it up, and I think it should show us the explanation. Okay, so this one applies to everyone, okay? So some of these will actually have a grouping, and I'll show you in a moment. It'll have it'll have like a domain user look up somebody like that and say these people, the policy applies to these people, but some of them don't, as you can see here. So I'm not worried about this one. Local policy, and I'm pretty sure the one I'm looking for is under, I want to say security options, but hey, let's go through this real quick. So audit policies. So we look at the log on, right? Privileged use whenever someone with an admin level account logs in. I could turn on auditing for that. So it's pretty cool. That's our, but like I said, these are all preset. They're static. You don't change them. Then you got the user rights. So this we start getting to really fun stuff, right? Um, like change system time, change the time zone. These can be limited to certain users. That's what I was telling you before. If I click on go to properties, I can modify who's impacted by this policy. I can tell, hey, I don't want anyone in finance department to be able to modify the system time. Now, why would that be the case? Why is system time so important? Well, that gets to the understanding the different appliances and I guess resources you'll have in a larger network. When you have one computer talking to another computer, when it comes to everything has a timestamp in any operating system. So you don't want someone to be able to say, I sent a message at 10 a.m., but it was actually 9 a.m. when they sent it. Well, this is where you kind of get into the fact of can you change the system time on the local machine? Well, this will stop people from being able to do so unless you're an administrative group or if you're a local service running on the back of on the back part, right? And then and it goes from there. So it says timing of transactions is crucial. Yes, Mary, you're absolutely right. It is very much so crucial. So going beyond the messaging, a lot of appliances, a lot of resources, applications that you have running on a network, they're trying to talk to each other. They're trying to say, hey, I confirmed this person. When you log in for authentication, I authenticated Mary at blah, blah, blah time. That's a part of SSO, right? Single sign-on. So let's say you have a trusted log authentication. You log in one place, and then every other application you use once you're logged in takes those credentials that have been approved, that have been authenticated and authorized the first time, and it uses all these tokens on the back end. You want to make sure those tokens are in sync. You want to make sure the times make sense. The systems validate that say, hey, this makes sense. This was done at this time. The time is confirmed. Let's continue to go on. If those times are completely off, depending on what you're running, it can crash that system. And then other times it'll just invalidate what you're doing. But system time is massively important, especially for payments. Exactly, Mary. I love it. You're thinking about it from a financial standpoint. The target of anybody that's doing mischievous things is all about money, right? So they want to mess those transactions up. Like, nah, I took the $100 out. But you got my money wrong. It came out. That was last week. I took another 100 out today. Give me my money. I'll mess that all up. So Megan, I see what you're saying. Weird. I don't have security, local security policy pop up when I type it in search. Well, you know what? Um, you can also do it from admin. So let me show you that real quick, Megan. I'm glad you asked that, right? So if I go into administrative tools, now this is key. You have to be administrator to access this stuff, right, Megan? Because this is like some top level stuff. As you can see here, I'm modifying who can do certain things on the machine. Of course, this has to be an administrator to do this. So if I go into administrator tools and I scroll down here, local security policy will be right here. All right, so let me know. Let me know if that helped out. But it's the exact same window I was just looking at, just a different way of getting there. There's like at least three ways normally to access any of these tools. You have like the shorthand. You could type directly into search. You could type out the full name, like I did earlier for local security policy, and then also you have just the uh, other entryway through the administrative tools. Okay. It says I'm administrator. Okay. Did you get the administrative tools? Did it pop up? So I think last time you sent me a screenshot. So make sure, and I don't remember if you did on the chat or not. But yeah, send me a screenshot to take a look at it if you have any real issues with it. Oh, I'm sorry, my phone's about to go off. I'm trying to turn this off real quick. Hopefully that worked. But anyway, but I did show you another way to use it. So if you can't get through that way, then maybe it's the version of Windows you're running, and you may want to pop online to Microsoft's website and it's going to download and run another version of Windows inside of VM. And I think I showed this before. Windows download. So Megan, for you, we don't do well. You do Windows 11. Just make sure you read my blog on how to do Windows 11. It's tricky when it comes to VirtualBox. You got to get into the regular, um, the the registry editor. Yeah, administrative tools. Yeah, you um, just type in admin. If you're in Windows 10, it'll pop up like on my screen. Windows administrative tools will pop up. So you type in admin. There's also I want to say the entire is administrative console. Oh, that's not it. What is admin console? I think is what it is. Admin console. Oh, I want to say is how do I do that? So hold on, me. Well, either way, just type in the full name. It'll pop up. But this is shorthand for it. I can't remember right now. But yeah, Windows 10. Just download Windows 10 with the download tool now and run it from there. Because if you don't have admin tools and you are an administrator, maybe it's the Windows version you're running. In fact, you can see what version of Windows you're running. Well, sorry, what edition? I forgot. I apologize. I need to make sure I keep my terminology correct. Which edition? Because version and edition, two different things. We talked about that the first time we talked about Windows. So the addition will impact what you can or can't, what functionality and features are available to you. So I like to go over to Explorer and just right click on PC, brings up the properties. And then this will tell you I'm running the edition Windows 10 Pro in. All right, I got you. I got you, Megan. All right, let me see the picture you got. Yeah, yours actually doesn't have it. I think it's because the edition you're running. What edition are you running, Megan? Do what I just showed you and tell me what edition you're running. If you're running home, maybe that's the reason why. Or you're running some like, I guess, normal user edition. Always download the Pro. Education is a good one to download. The educational one is good one to install. Pro you can install, um, but home it's gonna be kind of limited what you can do at home. I do remember that if you got the home one. All right, so how about you, Mary? I don't know if you follow along, if you watching, if you run into issues, just let me know. All right, so we're talking about time and time zone. Now, time zone's not as important, okay? The system time itself, massively important. Time zone, that's like me going down here and modifying. I mean, it does make a difference, don't get me wrong, but this is more like what the user will interact with the time zone and what it shows on your clock. And then the system time is a little more sensitive because that's like the backend services using that part of it. Page file. All right, Mary, you said you're good. Yep, told you, Megan. I guessed it. You're using home. Windows 10 Home. So you're going to be a little limited. I definitely encourage you to download a copy of Windows 10 and put that on a virtual machine. Or you can do Windows 11 if you're up for the challenge. Go to my blog, look at how to do Windows 11, so you do the registry items. Okay. Um, but yeah, so like I love this stuff, right? So you got if you're looking on the screen, you probably see other stuff anyway. Deny batch jobs, deny log on locally. There's one I really like, right? Force shutdown from remote systems. There's one other power. Where's power at? Oh, here it is. I love this one, right? Shut down the system. Now that right there is interesting. And I think I already modified this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so normally what you would see in here is actually another entry called users. And I was just trying to test things out. And I was like, man, can they really stop you from shutting down the system? And then I thought about it. It actually makes sense. You may have a very sensitive workload, right? And you only want the system to be shut down upon um, updates or patches or something like that. And you like, yo, this system needs to run as much as possible. It's supporting a lot of our it's supporting a lot of our tasks. Batch job, right? If it's a server running batch jobs, you don't want to shut down. The batch job's running all the time. So you can actually stop anybody that should not be able to from shutting down the system. And I'll show you what it looks like in a moment. Actually, no, I am an administrator, so I can't show you this thing. I'll show you on a different one, but it does work. And I thought it was really cool. And that's pretty much it, right? Take ownership of files and other objects. Definitely want to limit that to administrators. But that's kind of what I was walking through, right? So that's kind of what you can do with these type of things. And look at this list, man. Security options. There are tons of predefined security options, and a lot of these are like domain based, but I love it, right? Just take your time, man. Go through, explore these, and see what you get from it. If you click on it, it usually gives explanation. You can read about it and see what it does. But like I said, out of this, the most fun I had was actually on the user rights and doing the shutdown. It was really cool for me. I actually enjoyed that a lot. Firewalls is a different lesson. We'll get into firewalls and how to make firewall rules. But you see, that's actually here in the local security policy. Okay, and then public key policies. This I think where you do like certificates and stuff. And but I gotta double check and then the software level stuff. So I enjoy this. So this basically is giving the different levels you can set software to, and then the rules you can add which softwares are impacted by that. Okay. So if I blow this completely up, ooh, that hurts my eyes. My screen's really bright. So basically it's saying that these are unrestricted as a security level, and you got to match these together to know what it's doing, right? So I go over here to unrestricted. What does that mean? Software access rights are determined by the access rights of the user. So if the user's an admin, if the user's a user, if the user's in another group you create, unrestricted will follow those rights. Basic users. All programs can be executed. It does not have to be administrator. Then disallow, completely disallow it. Now, this is what I was playing around before. I want to disallow the use of Edge, the application, the Edge application, just to play around. But yeah, it didn't really work for me. So if I do like path rule, and I go down to it, um, let's try to do, let's do something new, right? We'll do Notepad. I'm just gonna see what happens. We're here to play around, right? There's nothing wrong with this. I'll go to C, and then I go to Windows. I'm going to go down to System 32. If you're not aware, System 32 is like the heart of Windows. Majority of stuff, majority of your utility type applications are in here, such as Task Manager. And I think Notepad is in here as well. So I'm just checking it out, seeing if I can find it. I wonder if I could just like stretch this out a little bit. Mary, I got your message. Yes, Edge sucks. Honestly, there's a lot of stuff that people don't like about it. In fact, Mary, just while I'm talking, man, just come up with something to pop in the message. Tell me why you don't like it. Because honestly, I actually feel like Edge is pretty good. I don't use it regularly because I don't have Windows. But I'm on Windows. I actually do. I think they've really stepped the game up. I think it is pretty secure. And honestly, it is pretty fast. There used to be a lot of crappy stuff with it before, but I don't have any problems with it anymore. Of course, I have already ventured into using text-based. Here we go, Notepad. Awesome. Knew I'd find it eventually. So hit Notepad. But anyway, so I've gotten into text-based web surfing. So actually, I just use a text web browser. Why on earth would you pick over Firefox or Chrome? All right, now honestly, out of the three, obviously Firefox is my favorite, right? It has it has the least amount of resource bulk, like it doesn't bog down your resources as much, right? As Chrome does. Chrome just so well integrated, it's hard to get away from once you get into it, right? Google just, I don't know, they took over that part of the world, but Firefox has been huge in the space, and I love Firefox more than anything else. And I think it supports just as many things as Chrome does, and it actually comes installed on pretty much every Linux box I know of as a default browser. It's lightweight. It doesn't bog down your resources. I mean, I prefer Firefox. I'll be honest with you. I'm just saying Edge isn't horrible. That's all I'm saying. It's not horrible. Okay. So I'm gonna do the security level. I'm gonna see if I can stop Notepad. Okay. I'm just gonna try this out. Yes, indeed, the Apple of the browser world. Yes, Chrome could be seen that way. So I just modify this. So this is the problem I was having. When I do this, let's see if I can get it to work though. But this is group policy. This is a local one. If I like refresh, it like disappears, I think. And that's what I'm saying. I had problems getting this to stick. All right, so it's up here, right? Let's see if I can run Notepad. Oh, that did work. Look at that. So I can't run Notepad anymore. Look at that. I think I'm thinking my app locker didn't work for me. So this did work. Okay, so that's cool. So look at that. You can actually just go and throw this in here. Now I believe it blocks it for every user though. And that's something we had to test out in a moment. So let's jump over there because this is really important. Actually, before we jump over, because like I said, we're not really do much. It's a fast lesson today. I'm just talking through how these things work before we get into the lesson, right? Um, so yeah, so that actually did work. I want to see if it worked. We'll come back to Notepad. Don't forget, remind me, go back to Notepad when we get to other users and see if it stopped for everyone. Okay, we're not using Notepad today, so I'm okay with disallowing it. But that was pretty cool. Okay, so I can stop a program this way. Now you know. So if you're looking to get into um, uh, controlling some of your stuff on your home computer, then you can do this, right? And in fact, what I want to do, we're going to get into it. I want to check to see if we can find what, okay, if you can remember, what is the kind of brain of Windows, right? What is everything Windows operating system, software related stuff? Where is it all stored? Okay. If you're thinking something starts with an R, I think you're on the right path. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch the first video for Windows administration. It is the registry, right? So everything we do, every change we make to the operating system has to be saved somewhere so that it can know how to how to reapply it every time we restart the machine, right? Excuse me. Um, so everything is saved in the Windows registry. So what's going to be fun for us is trying to figure out which key was added. Yes, Mary, you got registered. I know you did before I said it. I know you did. So I'm giving you credit for it. Awesome job. And in fact, I think it was your analogy. It was like and I liked it. The server, the services are like lungs that are back in. You don't think about it; they just work, right? So I love that when you came up with that. So yeah, you're right. Registry. So we're going to try to find the key that was added in the registry to show that this is disallowed. We're going to try to look for it, okay? But we'll get to it in a minute. All right, so that being said, we walked through most of this stuff. You got these, which have no items at all in it. And then it says you got to expand for advanced audit policies. All right, we already looked at the kind of stuff, right? So anyway, so that's it. That's the local security policy allows you to do. So so far I've set it so it blocks the notepad, right? So no user from as of right now, no user is able to use notepad as an application. Right? It's pretty. That's like total evil, like maniacal, evil scientist crap, right? Everyone needs Notepad. Notepad is like the basic, and you when you get those files, you just don't know how to open it. You go to Notepad if you don't have Notepad plus plus, right? And it'll try its best to open it. So I love Notepad. WordPad I don't use as often, but yeah, I'm just a horrible person, so I totally blocked out restricted Notepad. Okay. Um, all right, so that's it for local security policies. Now we're getting into what we came here for, which is doing a policy that is going to take away our task manager. So, so if you notice anything, is that most of the stuff in the local security policy is really like the down and dirty how Windows works, like power on, logging, stuff like that. Some of the real administrative stuff, and that's really why you look at it from a local security standpoint. It's the overall box. Those really important things we found there, right? Then you start getting into some of the more superficial or user-focused parts of Windows. We look at the group policy, right? These are things you want to control as a group itself, or even as a user. So it's higher level than the local security policy. It goes a step up and is more superficial in a way. Um, so it doesn't stop you from doing anything in the system, but it does impact how you use it from time to time. Now, could click through the rest of these, but the one just to let you know we're focused on is going to be administrative templates, is what we're going to look at under user configuration to block out the task manager. And I'll show you the task manager is currently working, and then we'll show it when it's not working and what error you get when you pop up there, okay? So let me see. First of all, computer configuration, software settings. I don't think we have anything in these. That's why I didn't look at them. Oh yeah, we do have some stuff. We have the Windows setting, the name resolution policy. Oh, that's really big. Okay. Name resolution policy table stores for DNS security. There we go. This is something I did not look into, but I'm really interested now, so it's something we'll have to explore later. Scripts, start up and shut down. Printer policies. Like I said, some of the more superficial stuff, things you don't need to really um, have the system function correctly, is more like the peripheral type stuff here. Okay, or things not a part of the operating system. Um, yeah, there's no items in this, and you cannot add items. Just like the local security policy, you're not able to add any items by right clicking. So it is what it is. But there's always a way around that, right? And we'll get into that in a moment. So under computer configuration, we also have administrative templates, right? And we can go through this systems, but we're not going to do that right now. I want to get into the task manager. It's really simple, it really is. So what I'm going to do is go down to user configurations, and from user configurations, I'm going to go down to system. So I'm going to double click on it, And look at this. Now, if you ever notice, Control Alt Delete on any computer does a few things, right? What are some of the things you can do with Control Alt Delete when you're at work? Probably number one thing everyone uses it for here is resetting your password, right? And every 90 days, 120 days, 60 days, whatever your organization does, at that time period or 10, 15, 20 days before, they let you know, hey, you need to start looking at changing your password. What do? Control Alt Delete, right? So that's where this comes. You come into this, and any Control Alt Delete options are actually captured in this one folder. So change password, lock your computer, task manager, log off. Those are the four options that come up. Pretty cool, right? So this is stored under administrative templates, or it's under user configuration because a user will be doing it. And then go to administrative templates, right? We templated it out and we're looking at the system level stuff. And we said, hey, Control Alt Delete something, right? We also had display where we can show, we can configure background stuff. I can't remember which one exactly it is. I think it's under systems. Driver installation, right? We can modify all these things. And of course, all these have description. You can read about it, right? Group policies. Anyway, back to what we're here for. Task manager. All right. So Mary says I use it for pulling up Task Manager to crash stubborn Office products. Excels. Yeah, I know. That's what she literally put cough. Yes, she put cough in the chat. Um, so I'm not gonna do anything with locking computer, but I'm gonna look at Task Manager. And Mary, you don't have to use Control Alt Delete, but it's just the most commonly known shortcut. Another shortcut, if you're not aware, is going to be Control Shift Escape. That'll bring your task manager well, right? It's all on your left hand. And I think that's going to show up as your right on my screen, on your screen. But control, if you do the left control, shift, and escape with one hand, you can bring up your task manager just as fast, okay? Because a lot of people require two hands to do control alt delete. So one-handed, you bring it up. So it currently works. You see here where it says state not configured, there are no comments. So all right, Megan. I appreciate that. When I double click on it, right, I could double click or I could just right click. Doesn't make a difference. Just go to edit and then what does next setting do? Oh yeah, it goes to the next one. Okay, and then yeah, we just do enable and then we set it and it tells you what it does, blah, blah, blah. I hit apply, okay. Hit close that out, hit okay. What do you think is gonna happen when I do control alt delete again? Oh, oh, it's enabled. Nothing happened. I didn't get a pop-up. Like literally nothing happens. So I do Control Alt Delete. Task Manager is not there anymore. I can switch users. I can lock computer. I can log out. Sign out. I can change password. That's all I can do. I have no more Task Manager. Okay. If you think you're slick and you're gonna type it in and go directly to Task Manager, guess what happens? Yep, it's disabled by your administrator. So there we go. We've disabled this for administrator. Now this is the point in which we get into what I wanted us to understand from the beginning, the registry, right? How did this take place? Well, let's jump into our registry. How do we get the registry? Just type in reg edit, or if you start to type in registry, it'll pop up at the very top. You have to be administrator. Well, you don't have to be administrator, I think, to. No, you do. You have to be administrator to modify it. You can open it as any type of user, I believe. All right, now we've talked about our hives, and these are all hives, right? These are all hives, H key, hive key, okay? And you got local machine, you got the users, you got current config. Now, these first two are really just like links. Well, I'm sorry, I think the last two are links to the first two. But either way, the most important one to understand is really local machine typically. But what we're trying to do is modify what a user is going to do. We're trying to get granular. We're trying to get deep down into, hey, I want tester and tester Bob to have two different functions, okay, two different functionality with the system. So let's look at what this breaks down to. So what you'll notice here is when I open up H key users, it is represented by a SID. Now, I did have this pulled up for us to look at what SID means, right? So a SID represent each user, and you'll see in a moment what I mean. So right now you have this long number S1521, and then these other session number dash 101. Well, I pull up Microsoft documentation. Guess what? It has security identifiers. Now, the cool thing about this, it explains to you what they are, but they really are to help with attaching policies to specific users, and it allows us to identify what users have access to those policies. Okay, and many other things. It's an attachment. It's a connecting of the user to different things, a mapping of sorts, right? So it breaks down what it looks like. Then it even has an entire long portion of this that tells you the beginning part, like these are indicators in themselves. The first four digits indicate things by themselves. Really important to understand because if you're getting into not only computer management or administration, if you get into computer forensics, you're going to start looking deep into the registry. You're going to start looking into these hives and you're like, yo, what does this mean? And you want to get to the point you see the first four digits and you're like, oh, yeah, I know this has to do with local. This has to do with domains. This has to do with owner rights. It's a system owned account. That's really cool when you start getting into it. So it breaks it completely down. If you notice here, administrator, right? Anyone in the administrator, well, not even administrator group, the actual administrator user, right? Because you see this is a guest user, right? Administrator user ends in 500. So you ever see a SID that ends in 500 in your work, you know it's the actual administrator user, which should be deactivated, right? Is disabled by default. I just turned it on, okay? All right, so that being said, really cool. You start getting into SID identifiers. Man, just take the time, read through this, and like Megan already going to ask me, or already thought about. Here you go. This link is safe. You can check out what exactly I'm looking at. You look in the chat here, okay? All right, let's move it back off the screen. I'm gonna minimize this. All right. So that being said, what do you notice about this? Well, it's a 21. So this is a local account. So S15, it is a user account and it's a local account with dash 21 and it ends in 1001. I'm not the administrator, right? Because I don't end in 500. I am in the administrative group and we can prove that by going over to computer management or we can go to the admin tools. If you want to go to admin tools, you can do it through this too. The administrative tools and click on computer management. It'll pull up that way as well. All right. So I got two, close one. I'll go over into users and groups, find my user tester, right click and go to properties, member of, look at here, I'm an administrator, but I'm not the administrator account. Okay. So it's different here. Now, one thing I want to show you is check out what happens. I only see one user though, right? You have 101 and 101 underscore classes. But what happens when I'll sign in as Tester Bob? Let's go to Tester Bob sign in. I'm gonna let it boot up real quick. So I'm gonna sign in as Tester Bob as well as administrator in just a moment. There we go. All right. So we're in here as Tester Bob. We can click on it and show you that we're in Tester Bob, right? So Tester Bob. Let's pull up the registry. Now Tester Bob is not an administrator. They can still view the registry, okay? So I'm gonna go over here and look at this. I now have two entries, 101 and 103. Okay. So what does this tell you? Well, this is, first of all, you notice I can't click on one-on-one because I'm not an administrator. I can't modify anything outside of my own profile. Okay. Now, 103 is the specific identifier for Tester Bob. So anything happens on the machine where it captures the SID ending in 103, I'm Tester Bob doing it. Now, that being said, like I said, I am going to log in as administrator as well, just to show you that the administrator account does actually show up as 500 no matter what machine you're on. So this one has a slightly different password and it's booting up here. Oh man, I'm gonna tell you all one thing about it. Whenever you make any changes to the user accounts, I don't know about for you all, but my Windows it just slows down so much. But it's only because it's trying to set up the initial profile, the entire profile in itself for that user. So it takes a little bit of time putting all those uh, key value pairs together. Now look at this. Now you have the 500. You know that I'm currently logged in as the administrator account, not the administrator group, but the account itself is why I'm recorded as 500. And as you can see, because I'm administrator or an administrator, I can open anyone's profiles, not restricted. Okay. Now that we're in here, let's take a look at what changed when I, oh, yeah, what changed when I added the ability, well, I'm sorry, disabled Task Manager, right? So the way I do that is first go down, pretty much everything's going to be under software. So check this out. We're going to go to software. We're going to come down. Um, and then from software, we're going to Microsoft. And I already broke these down, so it's already expanded. So I go to Microsoft, and then from Microsoft, we go to Windows. Okay. So it goes software, it goes to user, then it goes software, Microsoft, and what are we running? Windows. We're looking at the current version of Windows. And then inside of this, we're going to look at policies for that user. So what you'll notice here is that, I wish I showed this before I did it. Normally, you don't have a systems policy, okay? But if you remember what happened when we set this originally, we had to go to the systems folder. So it's not real creative, right? It said, hey, we set a policy that is for users and it impacts the system whenever Control Alt Delete is pressed as a key combination. So let's create another folder key under policies for, in fact, each user. I haven't showed you this yet, but this is for every user has the same entry right now, right? And now they all say disable task manager. Okay. Now, the crappy part about this is that this is a, I guess, select and withdrawal kind of method. Well, add and remove selectively, where you just add it to everyone using the group policy, and then you go through and remove it for each user you don't want it to be in. Now, the only thing about it is for this to, in a domain, it works pretty much the same way, but you see all the users because all the users are pretty much already there. And they're just waiting for people to access those accounts. So you can actually view all the SIDs on the system when you're doing the domain. For us, because we're on a local system, the user didn't exist until I logged in, right? They weren't able to be modified until I actually logged in and ready to go. So at this point, I had to log into each user and I can modify them differently. So for administrator, I don't want that, right? Let's just delete the key or delete the value. Um, and then the key as well, we can just delete it all together. We don't have to have this anymore because I don't want anything to be removed. Now, another question you could ask yourself is if system captured disabled task manager as a key when I set that policy, what other keys, what other D word values actually, what other one D word values are available to be modified and have fun with, right? Honestly, I don't have that answer, but that's something that I would say you can Google, or you can go through and just start setting things differently and going back to the registry and finding what changed, right? And that's kind of what I want to do also with the notepad part. So if I go over here to outside of policies, I don't want to be in policies, but maybe if I go over to, let's see, if I can find some, task manager is actually right here. That's pretty interesting. It's a different key for different property for a different reason. But I wonder if it added anything for Notepad or let's see, Windows error reporting, Windows NT, current version. Oh, you know what? I just remember current version is actually where we can find, what was it? Windows. No, it's not here. There's a different current version, a different Windows NT. Anyway, but yeah, I'll see if I can find the Notepad stuff a little later. But that's pretty cool. That Notepad actually stopped working. But anyway, so to prove that this actually did take effect, and I can now access Task Manager as this user. Let's go to Task Manager. In fact, let's do Control Alt Delete. It doesn't show up there. Uh, Doesn't show up there. If I do Task Manager, and I just realized I just removed it for 103. I'm signing it as 500. So 500 is still locked, but 103 should be able to do it. So let's pop over to Tester Bob. He's already signed in. Let's go and see what Tester Bob can do now. All right, bam. Tester Bob. All right, so now do Control Delete for Tester Bob. There we go. It is back on the screen. Yay. Round of applause. You just set your first policy and modified it for individual users. Okay. So now you have two users on the machine that cannot access Task Manager and one that can. And it's totally inverse of what it should be. The only non-administrator has access to Task Manager. But now that I think about it, do I want the most experienced people as administrators with the ability to do Task Manager? Yes. Short answer is yes. I need them to save the day for everyone else in the system. Okay, so they need that task manager. So that being said, what I can do is go over here, sign out of Tester Bob, and go back to administrator. And what am I going to do? I'm going to take the whole policy back off. Right? I'm going to disable the policy we already set. So I'm going to go to type in my password. All right. Oh, bam. Let's type in my password and let's go to, it was on the group policy. So GP edit, or I can just go to edit group policy and then go back over to administrative templates under users, system, control alt delete, task manager, double click on it. Go back to not configured. I can do disabled or not configured, it doesn't make a difference. I always do not configured to put it back in the original state. And now that is saved. So I can open task manager again. There we go. All right. So now, what's next? We did the GUI, right? And you learned a lot doing the GUI. You learned, first of all, um, the what you find in the local security policies versus what you'll find in group policies. You also learn the biggest thing here, I think you'll learn, I wanted you to take away, is how users show up in the registry and what a user actually looks like to the system itself. They don't see your name. The system doesn't care about what your name is. The system cares about how can I identify you accurately. And the way it does this is by creating a SID that is used to associate your particular profile to different policies throughout the system. And this is really important to know because now we're getting into how to do it with PowerShell. Yes, and PowerShell, you need to know some of this information before you can do anything, right? And in fact, I want to make sure I show you everything I think you can do. If I go over here to Microsoft under software, and then Windows NT is the difference. Let's see. Current version. I want to say profile. Profile list. Bam. All right. So this I think is available even when no one else is signed on. So let's take that into account. So I'm gonna go over here to, I'm gonna sign out of administrator. I don't want to be administrator anymore. In fact, I feel like disabling it. I feel vulnerable that I have an administrator account active. I feel like so, like, honestly, like I broke a lot of rules. Like NIST, I don't know, some NIST ninjas are gonna come after me for breaking security policy recommendations. Okay, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm so sorry. Um, And then Tester Bob. Let's go and Tester Bob, sign out of Tester Bob. And two, that's what it is. Okay, so Tester Bob. Then what you'll notice is I signed out of administrator, and that is now gone. I'm gonna sign out of Tester Bob, and I signed into Tester, didn't I? I want to go back to Tester Bob. I'm gonna say sign out. Mm, 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 mm. Oh, I forgot to show you. Yeah, so remember I told you I disabled the shutdown? Look at that. So it does work. Tester Bob cannot do restart or power off. And guess what? I'm so glad because I was not paying attention to what I was doing. I was really trying to go up here and I was going to the wrong place. A very good reason to do that, have that feature, right? So no one can accidentally turn off the machine. Sign out. All right. And now we can go into tester. Let's go into tester now. All right, check this out. So now tester, look at this. I got one ID, nothing else, one ID. That's all the users currently signed in, I guess. It's just me, right? And I got this. I can close that out. Um, like I said, I want to disable. I'm going to disable member of profile, disable account. There you go. Apply. I don't want administrator there anymore. Okay. So that is now disabled. And let's check out what we just looked at. How, if we're able to pull the entire listing while they're not signed on. Windows NT, current version, profile list. Yes, we are. So this actually, we can actually do it this way. We can pull all the IDs from here. So that is actually pretty cool. I totally forgot about this. It just hit me out of nowhere. It really did. I was like, oh, no, I could do this. Okay, so we're in there. So I can actually modify anyone whether logged on or not. But I have to, the only difference is when they're logged on, and that's the difference. So when they're logged on, I can actually modify their user under the proper Hive, which is HKey users. I can modify it in the registry directly here. When they're not logged on, I have to create their folder and create all this other stuff, and I don't think it's worth that. So at this point, I'm gonna show you how to do it with just this one user because I signed out of everyone else, so we're only testing on this one user. And to make sure you're aware that that entry is gone even from this profile, let's go back down to it. Windows, current version, make sure the policy is gone. And this policy is not gone yet. So I'm going to delete it for whatever reason. And let me see. Yep, it doesn't work on it. So let's delete this key. Okay, cool. Now I can bring up the task manager. Okay, so it's gone, right? I don't have a system folder. So how do we fix this? Okay, I am going to pull up Visual Studio. Let's see if it works through this. We're going to walk through these steps very quickly, but very slowly at the same time. Make sure everyone can keep up, but it really isn't a lot to this, okay? Um, so when it comes to creating a registry entry, if you remember, I'm bring it up real quick. We have a whole nother folder. Now, these are called keys. Oh, it's like, okay, yeah, yeah. Hey, look, not a problem, Mary. I know you got to head out. That's perfectly fine. Um, so catch us on the catch up with the video later, or just catch us a little catch us next week. Okay, I'll do a recap. But anyway, so we got the policy and key, right? So the folder is a key, okay? But the thing about the folder doesn't exist, not at this time. So how do we make it exist? Well, remember we have verb and then noun. And the folder is considered an item to the registry. So the first thing I have to do is tell it new and then item. Okay. And then from here, I can then do um, registry, well, sorry, path. So I have to tell us a path that we're working with. And the path is registry. Now, the thing about registry, normally with a path, you just put the path from C drive, D drive, whatever it is. But registries are a little bit different. You have the shorthand way to access it, or you can do the long way. I've had some difficulty with the shorthand. I could try it real quick, just for the heck of it, right? But normally the longhand is going to be like you do registry, you col double colons, okay? Then you put the path from the registry. So, for instance, we're in this location now where policies are, right? I would take this path, and I don't need a computer part. I just need the H key users. You want to start from the hive because you're telling us a registry hive, and I will paste it in here. So this is now the path that I'm going to modify, and then I just tell it what I want to add, right? So I'll do name, and we're going to do system. Now you don't have to capitalize it. I like to make sure I follow the proper structure of the folder naming convention and registry. So I do capitalize. If I hit enter, as long as this works properly. Yeah. I still got to figure out how to run. I keep forgetting how to run this as, looking into how to run this as administrator. So let's go to the other way I know it's going to work. So PowerShell, ISE. I need somebody to remind me to to get this thing so I can do the permissions. Ah, I'll do it. I'll do it this weekend. I'll look into it this weekend. I promise. I promise. We'll look into it this weekend because I don't want to have to keep flipping back and forth to something that is outdated. So I'm gonna copy and paste into here. Okay, and then we're gonna hit enter, see what happens. Bam. It gives me this readout, right? It says that hey, system has no properties at this point, but it does have system as a new name. If we go to registry and I refresh, I should see systems pop up. There we go. We're one step closer. Okay. Now, what do we have to do at this point? Well, we have to add disable task manager, which manager is abbreviated. But we also have to tell what is task manager, right? Task manager is a D word entry. Now we're modifying, we just created an item, right? And I said properties are empty right here, okay? So that means I have to create a new property, an item property is what I'm creating. And an item property is going to be a D word 32 entry, okay? So what do? I go into do another new, and then I do item. As soon as I learn how to spell item again, and then I go down to property. Okay, so now I'm starting on the right path, on the right part. So we're gonna do now. Don't you love this? The tab, the auto complete, auto suggestion. So now I know path is my option I want to really go with. And like I said, I'm gonna try to shorthand at this point. So shorthand for H key users is supposedly HKU or HKU, and then I'm just gonna paste everything in here. Not that much. Okay, I messed this up, but I'm gonna fix it right now. The difference is I'm adding systems a part of my string. Okay, that's part of the difference here. I'm adding systems into my string. And then I'm also removing the HKey users part. All right, so now I'm adding another name, and I told you it's called disable task manager abbreviated. And I told you we had to tell it a type. So property type, and we're going to do D word. Okay. Now we have to also give it a value, and the value is going to be 1. Okay, so basically what we just reconstructed is the previous entry we saw before for this user where it had the task manager value of 1 set, which said, hey, deactivate the use of, or disable the use of task manager. We're trying to recreate that entry again inside of the systems key. So let's go enter and see if it works. See, this is what I was talking about. I don't know why. It's supposed to be shorthand, but whatever reason, it doesn't work for me, right? So what I'm going to do is go back to my method I know works. This is long. I'm going to do registry and then type it all out. And if anybody has any tips on this, please comment. Let me know because I would love to know the shorthand, how to get it to work. So registry and then what is it? Oh yeah, H key is right at the top. It's right at the top. H key users. And remember, Windows is not case sensitive. I could have typed this all lowercase, doesn't matter. Hit enter, and look at there. We have the entry now. Okay, voila. And just double check, go over here, view, refresh. There we go. It's been entered in. All right. So now let's test it out. Control Alt Delete. Task Manager is gone. If I go over here, Task Manager, bam, disabled. Okay. It will work for any other user I log in as, and it is saved upon restart. Now, if I want to modify it though, because I'm not, remember, it's a verb noun relationship. What's the verb we're going to do now? We're not creating, so it's not going to be new. I could have started with create, but I knew that the word new was the verb I was looking for. This one is going to be set, right? We're setting a value. So if I want to turn it back off, I literally just go up here. I could take this last one, um, modify. I'm gonna modify the last entry I did. I don't need to define the property type anymore. It's already there, right? You only define the property type when it's not there. But if I do set and then just remove that and then go to the very end and change the value to 0, it should bring back what I was able to do before. Control Alt Delete. There you go. Task Manager is now active again. All right, y'all. Well, I know we normally go to 9:30. There's not much more to show you. I just wanted to show you how you interact with the registry from the PowerShell and how you can set some policies and what a policy really looks like, right? So a policy is really just an addition to the registry. And I'll tell you the story behind me looking deep into this, not just from a policy standpoint, but also where I was having a conversation with my manager at my job, and they were saying that there's a flaw in Windows. I started doing research and all this other stuff, and they were like, yeah, PowerShell. I was like, man, you can't really do much with PowerShell if you're not an administrator. He was like, no, there's a way to get around with the registry, but don't try it at work. You'll get fired. um, but when he told me that, I just started looking deeper into it, and I got really into it over the last couple of weeks. And I just want to show it to you all that those GUI interactions we have still, like I said at the beginning, breaks down to an entry somewhere in the registry, which I'm gonna spend my time this week looking for the notepad entry and seeing if I can modify it. And I'll show you next time we get on, show you how to do it through PowerShell as well. But yeah, I'm hoping you all took something away from this. As always, I walk through this from start to finish, so it's not just reading a book, it's not just looking at a forum, it's not just looking at a blog. You get to see it live, work with me through the process, give me feedback, I give you what I know, and we do this together, right? I mean, it's all in verifying the techno proof, right? And that's what we do. We trust the techno proof on this channel. So if you haven't already, make sure you check us out every week. We come back 8:30, 8 to 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. We have the blog, which is lessonswithricardo.blogspot.com, I believe. That'll be listed in the comments of this video when I post it. And of course, we have the live stream, like I said, every week. I will start to do shorter videos that I upload on a regular basis. As of right now, I'm just sticking to the live feeds. But if you have any questions or comments, please hit me up. Also, you can reach me at lessonswithricardo@gmail.com. If you want to send me an email, feel free. Blow it up as much as you want to. Promise you, I don't use it for anything special. But if you're serious about contacting me, hit me up there. Okay. All right, y'all. Well, I appreciate it. I hope you have a great one. Take care of yourself, and I will check you next week. I'm off to daddy duties. Take care. Bye.